So hi guys, this is our last session, but it's not the least. What I think Namrul was trying to say was one of the interviews when we were doing, and all our employees are Gen Z, all of them. So most of them, whenever they were coming for interview, I asked them, how did you get to know or however. They replied and all, but I said, okay, but what did you find amazing or good about us? So the first thing they said is, you do a podcast called Tigada, Kaam, Bigada. I said, yeah, we do. That was a very strange concept, and we just went with the flow. Like Lakshmi was also saying in her session that she just, YouTube was there. She went with the flow, she created, and she went on going, right? That was the idea with podcast. Spotify aaya, podcast chal raha hai. We thought, okay, we should also have content. We started. That is how the idea was. The idea again came with the concept that there is one person who's always between the lines, which is always the maybe, possibilities, unspoken side of things. And there's always a to and a fro. There's always a black and a white. So that's how it came up. So the kids really loved it. They were like, wow, somebody is actually talking about it and there are live debates happening. So we thought, why not have this as one of the sessions? So flipping the cliche, usually it is considered that brands are the ones who are always talking about the spreadsheets, and creatives are the one who are always talking about the heart se, dil se banana hai and all. Here we are flipping it. What you see here today, I have Parag, who is a brand builder, who believes diamonds are not only the thing that should have ethically be sourced. He also believes in a lot of value and how it's being considered. Here I have Kevin Lee, who is a storyteller who believes that purpose should perform, not just be there, right? So that's the introduction. Moving to why we are doing this. What if brands fight for ideals and creative fight for impact? That's the topic. If you can see what is the real ROI, idealism. Usually whenever brand is working for, and in my also experience and the kind of content we have created in all formats, we have seen that brands are always wanting to get into the nitty-gritty of things. ये मेरा brand guideline है, ये मेरा brand ethos है, ये मेरा ये है. पर जब story की बात आती है, somewhere there is a gap. Somewhere there is something कि मुझे ये चाहिए, बाकी आप देख लो, आप figure out कर लो. And in terms of creative also, there is always a fight कि freedom नहीं मिल रहा है. We are not getting the freedom to create what we want to create. But what do you want to create? You are not even able to communicate that. So that's what the whole fight today we are going to have. We are not going to fight, but yeah. Okay, guys. So I'm the cultural referee here because obviously it's our show and our thing. So we will go by that. The first question I have is, everyone loves to say that it's the thought that counts, right? But in business and creativity, does it really count? Okay. What's worth more today? Is it the intention behind the work or the outcome it delivers? Yeah. So we'll start with one of you to share that. What do you think? What is worth more?
Yeah, so being a brand builder, I think we are always result oriented. When you're a business owner and you hear about intent, it just after, if there is a failure, the intent sounds like an excuse. Like मैंने तो अच्छे ही intention से किया था, you typically get, and okay fine, A for effort, but where is the result? Because you burn the money. And what you get to hear, see, brand building is all intangible, right? It doesn't, if doesn't convert into sales, it's useless to me, because I've done that for years and I was really fascinated with the idea of brand building. I would think for the longest time that you get a celebrity and it would drive your brand. But trust me, it really doesn't happen this way. Like, this is the biggest misconception new age founders have, and I had it for the longest time, and I have seen brands go down by just spending disproportionately on celebs, right? So there's a very popular saying which I've learned along with the agencies and everyone, that if you are talking to everyone, you're not talking to anyone. So you need to speak to your consumer with your consumer insight. So whatever strong belief system you have, and you think that particular customers are your TG, may not be right because your data set would be small. So keeping that in mind, I think it should be result oriented and not emotion driven.
That result will have the thought you're saying? Yes. Absolutely.
The result will ultimately show if the intent was right. And we are not trying to prove here a good person or bad person, right? It doesn't matter. It should deliver results.
Does that happen?
It depends. It depends on a lot of factors. I think, sorry. So I was in media school not too long ago, just about 15 years ago, so not terribly long ago. And one of the things they taught us about advertising and marketing is that it's not necessary that advertising is going to result in sales.
Yeah.
So, and even from there in my head, the question has been then why are brands spending money on it if it's not going to result in sales? And 15 years later and 10 years in this industry, I'm still asking the same question. You know that sometimes before we do a campaign, we also know that this is not necessarily going to affect sales. But I think coming back to your question about is the thought important or the output is important, I will flip that around and say that it's very important to think about the output before you get into something. Absolutely. I think one of the biggest challenges that we face is not that brands are difficult or about the budget or about the communication or about work-life balance in terms of a brand feels like you're answerable even on a Sunday or whatever. It's not that. It's about the expectation-reality mismatch. That you can create a lot of things within a certain amount of money with influencers, with celebrities, with distribution network, through video, through podcasts, through formats. But I think the most important thing that sometimes we don't spend enough time on is finding a middle ground with the brand before the project, that realistically what is your idea of success? So we as creatives see a lot of bigger agencies, for example, will do multi-crore rupee projects. They'll spend crores of rupees on a video, on an ad. And on their YouTube, you can very clearly see that it has no organic views. Even on their YouTube, you know, it has 1 million views, it has 2 comments, right? And nobody wants to do that kind of work. But at the same time, I also understand that if a brand came to me and said, I'll give you 5 crore rupees, I don't care about distribution, मेरे YouTube पे ही जाना है. आपको पता है वो YouTube channel dead है, उस पे actual subscribers नहीं है. Then you also have limited wiggle room, and beyond a point, how much are you going to say no to money also? Because you have salaries to pay, you have lights to keep on. Yeah, we have to be sales driven. So I think that is the thing, that if you put thought into what the impact or output could be, I think we would all be happier. Brands would be happier, agencies would be happier, everybody would be happier.
Which is so interesting that he says that, because the next thing that I wanted to understand is, okay, if we understand that bit of it and if we are prepared about aligning the brand and this, as a brand, do you think every campaign cannot be made on a cause? Does it? Or if it is made on a cause, what are we talking about that as a brand, do you think the purpose is profitable? Does that happen?
Well, I think it largely depends on the product. Every product cannot have a cause marketing. Like now, the favorite topic with every brand now is sustainability, I feel. Where even if it's not relevant, people start talking about sustainability. So in whichever manner possible, even if it's not relevant. So for the best, we are into lab-grown diamonds, where sustainability is a thing. But how many people really do care about sustainability? What Indians care about is sasta. मुझे अच्छा, yeah, it's just a flex. Oh, I'm sustainable. But the real flex is देख मैं कितने में लाया. You know, there's a joke I'd seen that in other places people say, oh, you know, I got a discount, I got this for this price. And in Asia, people say, guess how much? You know, that's the flex is मैं कितना सस्ते में offer में कुछ चीज लेके आया. So yeah, on that, it's not everything can be driven by cause marketing. If there really is a cause behind something, then maybe you should do it, which really is serving a purpose. And maybe you are closing the entire loop by having some kind of donations with the margins of profit you have from that kind of sales with a coupon code or something like that. But then it serves the purpose when you're really, really genuine about it. Otherwise, it just, everyone knows nobody is a fool.
So from the creative side, often I have also come across a place where purpose, it begins with purpose. It always begins with purpose, okay, Parag? But to a certain extent, as you keep growing, it moves into performance matrix. Absolutely. It always goes there. It always goes there. And every time you need to know, ki, okay, ठीक है, बहुत आपका passion है, आप बहुत aligned हैं, and you will come up with your interesting ideas and you're trying to pitch it and you know you're putting all the heart that's possible. Then suddenly there comes the performance matrix. How do you deal with that? And don't you believe that somewhere that purpose is just a word then? Then it's no more.
I don't. I mean, I agree with Parag where it depends on the product, it depends on the company. At Yuvaa, we do a lot, like about 50% of our work is with non-profits and the development sector, right? So even if you're working with, say, a UNICEF or a Gates Foundation, or these people who are hardcore non-profit organizations that are making grassroots impact, 25-30% of the budgets that they give is also just, it's something called MEL, monitoring, evaluation and learning, which is just to define ki aap purpose kaise dikhaoge. What does the impact look like, right? If you take a CSR project, for example, and just delving into non-profit world just so that we can get a reference, maybe what we can learn from. CSR, one of the challenges of CSR is that CSR is so, the government is so strict that if you're putting in CSR money, it needs to show tangible asset creation. इसका मतलब है कि if I am giving money from my profits for say a menstrual thing, you have to set up vending machines in schools which give pads for free. Nobody is thinking about, do those girls in government schools know how to operate a vending machine? Do they know how to use a pad or not? वो education पे focus नहीं है. Similarly, I mean, we see with the IPL every 6, that's it, or every dot ball, we plant a tree somewhere in the world. We have to imagine, you know, that these 10. So I think that that definition of purpose is very, very important. I agree that with brands, it's a very different story. Brands का primary agenda purpose नहीं होता है. I think we can all accept it. It is a capitalist
I'm not
world.
trying to make them fight.
Yeah. No, but it's true. Like Parag said, he's very self-aware, right? He said कि sustainability है. It's something that is this. That's not the reason why a customer is coming through the door. A customer is coming through the door because maybe at some point the marketing will evolve to the point where customers will be coming because it's sustainable, right? Maybe if we see that now lab-grown diamonds are such a big competitor to organic diamonds in that sense, that organic diamonds का अगर price fall होता है, which we've known for decades is inflated. This idea कि diamonds are rare, which we're finding out is not true. If there is a world where lab-grown diamonds and natural diamonds are at the same price, then maybe a Gen Z is saying, I want to buy this because this is sustainable. This does not depend on labor. So maybe we'll get there. But until we get there, I think this level of self-awareness is good. That we don't have to market the purpose of it.
Perfect, awesome. That brings me to the point where you were saying that, yeah, that kind of understanding and self-awareness and stuff also comes with a lot of experience. You both of you are running, you know, pretty big scale of an organization, and in that sense, where you have that plethora of opportunities to create that sort of a value. When I talk about culture, or when I am talking about idealism or ROI, I'm also talking about the kind of teachings as a leader that we are passing it on. We have come across in this culture of things over the years. ये समझ over the years आई है आपको और या हमें, right? So what kind of values do you think that we are lacking that this kind of a disturbance comes in? This is a very unrealistic expectation from a brand or from a creative that we are talking about. Huh? That is built because there is some sort of a commerce involved. There is some sort of जो दिखता है वो बिकता है sort of attitude involved, and that is why this got so disrupted. So what kind of that change, or what kind of that is what as a brand you think is the shift that's needed, and as a creative the shift that's needed?
Well, so I think in the marketing world, perception is reality. So we need to change that reality. It can't be because of commerce is involved, like you said. So being genuine is the only way to try to change that. But ultimately, optics are really important. How you present your brand.
I like how it's sticking to the performance metrics.
Yes, because see, ultimately, when you look at from the consumer lens, how the consumer is looking at you and how the package is, because ultimately it's to do with their shopping. They are spending money. So they would obviously give money. I would shop it, because shopping, what is shopping? It makes you feel good about yourself. It makes you feel, oh, you're one, I can do this. I can buy a Mercedes, I can buy this, I can buy a diamond. So it makes you feel superior. So it's called, I'm very fond of Devdutt Patnaik. He talks about this bhog. सो वो एक कंज्यूमर साइकोलॉजी होती है. सो जब उसकी हम बात कर रहे हैं, सो ऑब्वियसली यू हैव टू मेक श्योर व्हाई डू यू गो टू 5 stars, इट्स द फील गुड, सो योर क्रिएटर्स एंड एवरीथिंग हैज टू बी इन लाइन विथ योर प्रोडक्ट. Obviously, if you're doing a CSR activity, you will show poor and hungry India. So that's that's a different thing. Ultimately, it has to connect to that psychology, and that's why we have relatable content. So luxury has to speak in a certain way. Otherwise, you will not convert a sale.
Yeah, I mean, I know you want us to fight, but I'm agreeing with him
No,
because
yeah,
he's saying.
I'm the.
I agree. I think like your purpose is not going to pay the bills, but values are still very important. At Yuvaa, like I said, because we do so much work in the social impact space also, but we also do mainstream podcast, chat shows, stuff for entertainment. When we started the company 6 years ago, it was very clear to us what we want to talk about, what we don't want to talk about. Now we are a bigger team. Everybody kind of has a say. Everybody gets their own idea. I think to us, we know that within now the team is about 40, 45 people. And agency में यही होता है ना that you're very often what happens is your really good people go client side, right? They get their account managers, they become friends with clients, they realize that they want money अभी नहीं हो रहा है, and they go client side.
Absolutely.
But I feel like we have, I think वो belief which we truly believe as leadership and the company also believes, that balance of profit and purpose is what we try to create.
Absolutely.
So we are not scared that people will leave us, people who are in our team, the Gen Zs who are in our team will leave us to go brand side, because we know that unke liye purpose bhi important hai, which we are kind of balancing. At the same time, I know that none of these people are also going to leave and go to a non-profit at a lower salary, because unke liye profit bhi important hai.
No doubt.
So we have found that middle ground, and as long as you have people who agree with you, or aapka chal raha hai, I don't think that needs to stand the scrutiny of the larger world. Larger world, I feel like very often is trying to find hypocrisy. कि अरे आप लोग impact के बारे में बात कर रहे हो, but you're working with say a Meta or a tech company that is seen as a evil this thing or whatever. I think everybody fundamentally understands that capitalism is the world that we are living in, and then you make space for purpose as much as you want to. And I honestly feel like you can do a lot. I honestly feel like a lot of brands, a lot of people are doing a lot.
A lot of
comes
them.
from genuine intention, but it can't substitute profit or sales.
Yeah, absolutely. And beautifully, I mean, yeah, absolutely correct. That's what exactly I was thinking in my head also, that it's not that it's not possible or it's not done. There are a lot of brands actually doing it. And being a conscious entrepreneur myself, but the journey of Twitchy Thought started 8 years back. I know how much struggle it was for me to find out a conscious brand to work with, because it's not easy. It's not easy to question a brand and tell them that, hello, excuse me, we would like to know what your value is. And they're like, excuse me? Because that's how it is, right? We all have been working in that sort of. But at the same time, I've also come across brands when I tell them that this is how we believe in and this is what we want to do. Would you like us to be part of the seat at the table? They actually love it. They are like, wow, you want to take ownership of our brand, make it your this thing. Oh, please, go ahead. But of course, at the condition of making sure the performance, the matrix, the sales, because at the end of the day, you're doing it, or there is an end goal. There is a commerce involved, there is an economy involved for sure. One last question that I have is that once an idea is out there, a campaign or a film or, however, it takes a life of its own, right? It is its beauty. Now, who owns its meaning? Does it the maker who dreamt about it, or the market that is deciding it, which has the product of the brand? It's aksar a very big question. If you are being a filmmaker or a brand or who you are, you know how much love you pour into everything that you put in, okay? If it's a brand or if it's a creative. So who is the real owner of it, or who is the one who should be?
Well, I think it's definitely the outcome, because the outcome decides whether the intent was right or no. Like, for example, like any bad filmmaker, filmmakers here. I'm not pointing at you. No, sorry. I'm not. So I'm just asking you something else. I'm saying that if any bad film, you don't do it with an intent to make a bad film, right?
I think I appreciate everyone who's a
It's a very hard thing, I know. So I've seen shoots and all. It's such a difficult job to do. Even shooting a reel is so challenging. But when you are doing it, and when the wrong outcome come, only then you learn, okay, this was a bad thing. There are so.
not the outcome. Sometimes the audience like bad films also. Come on.
Yeah. Which one was there?
There's so many
we will have a different debate altogether.
Depends on who the audience is. That's true. Like Sanyara maybe.
If you want a David Dhawan film and you're a David Dhawan fan, you go watch it. I go and watch such films sometimes because I want to keep my head aside and just enjoy
Oh
That's
my
true.
God, I can tell you there are so many films.
All Salman Khan movies, I believe.
I like him.
I like him too, but that's why it works.
So yeah, I mean there are content. There is.
Parag, we are still working here.
So, no. What I mean is, so marketing does wonders for many movies, and the way they're marketed and the way songs go viral is because they're being used on reels and on TikToks, and that's the way they go viral. So it's been hammered so much on you. It's like brand hammering also works beautifully. That you program to believe, okay, this is this way. Like I always say that never believe a brand because they're on narratives, and narratives keep changing. The best example is De Beers. The narrative of the entire diamond industry changed. So that's what it is, and the outcome depends on these things. If you're hammering a wrong thing also, like strongly, like again one example, uh, Tata play का like इसको लगा डाला तो life झिंगा लाला. मतलब the weirdest campaign I've heard and the most amazing one because इतना जल्दी मुंह पे चढ़ गया सब.
The guys who made the first film, actually, when that line happened and it was written by Ashish Kazanchi.
I know, enormous.
Correct. Now enormous, but that time he was in Grey, I think, or Ogilvy, one of the two.
Yeah.
And this was this grass man who wears grass,
Hmm.
and he goes and actually lies down on a pitch,
Hmm.
okay, to watch the cricket match from the most vantage point.
Yeah.
And yet, I remember because he made this whole grass costume. But trust me, that line really sold it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree to it.
Balki, for instance, when he used to be at low, he used to write all these lines,
Exactly.
all the Bajaj lines and everything, because that is what sticks. And
That's
how
what
you become as a
sticks.
brand.
Exactly. So that's what I'm talking about. In a room, if someone was to pitch this idea to me, maybe I wouldn't approve it. That ये क्या बकवास है, too vernacular, or जिंगला क्या इसको लगा डाला, it's like so vernac. You would, it's so bad, but it's so amazing. So that's what I'm talking about. You don't know. So this outcome decided how good it was, is what I'm trying to say.
I think, I mean, it's an example of marriage of craft also, right? The craft of the person writing it and knowing their audience and how it's going to land, but the craft of the brand managers also to then see that brand being perceived in that way, which I think is tough. And it's just become, I love that when people sit down and give examples of good ads, all of them are, 15, 20-year-old ads now, because the clutter has increased so much. That it's kind of really hard to stay relevant. I think to answer your question, I think it absolutely does belong to the market, to the audience. I love with films also where when directors are done with it and, so much effort, so much coordination between so many different teams of people and the directors then say, this film is yours now to the audience. You make what, so our co-founders, for example, at Yuvaa are filmmakers. So they made Bad News, which is, I can say it, don't quote, I mean, okay, we'll edit this part out. It's not the greatest film, right? It did not have that much of a cultural impact. When they were making the film, they thought one thing that we definitely want is a Vicky Kaushal dance number. This is something that we want. And at that point, they were considering, because Vicky Kaushal was dancing on a bunch of Karan Aujla songs, right? So they were considering just taking like a existing Punjabi song, like a Obsession or something, and making him dance to that, buying the rights. And then they said, no, let's try to make a new one, and they made Toba Toba. Now, Bad News you will forget. You might have even already forgot until I brought it up. But Toba Toba you will remember because of all the reels, because of the step, because so many people resonated with it. And I think that the measure or the legacy of a good campaign is that your audience makes it their own. And I think that that's the true marker of success, because it's so easy now to buy marketing reach in terms of you get influencers to put out something, you get people to tweet about whether it's a film, whether it's a campaign, LinkedIn posts chalte rahenge. But memory and attention, which I feel like is the real currency right now. If 1 year from now if we are talking and you remember an ad that came out, a year ago and you're citing that I feel is worth so much more. So I definitely think it does belong to the market and the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, beautifully put. That's exactly what I was saying. But I have a little different view. I feel that at the same time, as much as it is the audiences or it is the makers that decides, at the same time, if you don't know the core, if you don't know what you're saying, how you want to say it, where do you want to say it, And all of that comes from a place where you have clarity with what you're doing in terms of your art or craft, you say, or your brand. Nothing of this will make sense. Sometimes there are a lot of you would agree to this that there are a lot of campaigns where heart and soul has been put, okay? Everything is put, everything is mind blowing, but hasn't done nothing for the brand. Nothing for the brand. At the same time, they are also brilliant, amazing brand making really good product and something really exceptional. But regardless how great a story you're trying to put, it fails. So I think at the core, it's a message. It's what end May is going to happen. And in the beginning, when we started the day, we said one line, which is good things take time. And very rarely does that brand understands that, because obviously we all are running from some race, like that सब बोलते हैं ना कि किसी तो रेस में दौड़ रहे हैं सब लोग, तो we are not able to do that. At the same time, craft is also running. There is so much that is available out there, like you said, reels to content to so much pieces. You don't know which is good, what is not. All you know is what you like, what you want to create, how good you are at it. Just go with it, man. Just be on it. With that, this one episode is amazing. This is going to give me so much content and so much of interesting piece. But at the same time, this is absolutely why we are here. This is absolutely why we wanted to make this happen. Discuss and talk about the real thing. You know, there are a lot of brands who want to put money, have great big campaigns, but then uske piche bhi hota hai reason. I know a lot of big brands I have worked with where they don't want to give more money because we are chotus. And at the same time, the result they expect is not less than an Ogilvy. You know, I mean, and then with that product, when you go to another brand, you can't show that work. Why? Because they don't know that it is only one peanut of a money that's been given. So now you're judged about that money. It's a big vicious loop that keeps going. So the only thing which makes us stand out is believing in what you're doing, go with the flow, and just be in between the lines and have fun there. Yeah. So with that, thank you so much for being part of that. Such an interesting debate. And you guys have heard it so well, yeah. मतलब एकदम बैठ के ध्यान से सुन रहे हो. I hope this really was as interesting as we felt it was interesting. As much as we wanted to talk about this a lot, this is a never-ending topic in the industry. If whoever is part of the industry, they know this is not going to end today. So thank you so much, Kevin. Thank you so much, Parag. Thank you, every one of you, for listening and being there.